GMO Glyphosate and Mountain Health Part 2. In this presentation, I will tell about a changeover study from GM soy to non-GM soy I did back in 2011 and our observations. We saw healthier pigs, no ulcers in sows. We saw way less medicine usage and way better performance with piglets born and piglets survival and general production. The pig house is a different time to normal. Pig house in Denmark, we have a lot of fresh air in the dry sow house. We have got a straw-based system where sows are walking around free. They eat in a transponder, and in the farrowing house we have seen it necessary to use standard farrowing house equipment. Health benefits on changing to non-GMO soya. When we changed to non-GMO soya, I didn't tell my herdsmen that we were having a load of non-GM soya. I found out how much the protein is in the non-GM soya compared to the GM, and it was way more packed with proteins and all sorts of minerals in the non-GMO soya. So we adjusted after protein percent that it will be the same in the ready mix that the sows was eating, and that meant that we cut about 2% of the soya away that we had used before, like from 19 to 17% or whatever, and straight after we got the food in the farrowing house, the herdsman noticed, and he came and called me in, and he said, "Come in here and see, because I'm really chuffed today. We have had no pigs that has had diarrhea. We have absolutely no troughs that needs emptying. We used to empty 5 to 10 troughs out of 104. That's the number of sows we had in the farrowing house. And the sows, when they're not so huggies and they don't eat the food, you have to empty it before you feed next time, because else you just get old sour food. And that job has been eliminated. We had much better appetite with the sows, and they had a higher milk production. You notice that very clearly when you come in the farrowing house. Point one, when the pigs are healthy, you don't have diarrhea with the pigs. And point two is that you'll see on the calmness of it all in the farrowing house. If the sow is well fed and it has a lot of milk, it just lays flat on the side, and the pigs can be haven't been drinking, and then they just fall asleep at the udder. And the sow is not disturbed by them because they are all just resting. But if they are not full up, if the pigs hasn't had enough to drink, they will keep pushing and fighting around between the teeth, and they will sometimes bite with their razor sharp teeth, and it will hurt the sow. And then she will get fed up with them, and she will lay flat on her stomach and say, "Milk bar is shut off, get away." And that is a very clear sign that there's something totally wrong when the sows lay on their teeth. We also saw that the sows, after a month, we could see that our sows now could look after 1 to 2 piglets more. I think it was 1.8 in average, and that makes it a lot easier to look after pigs, because when if you're having 15.5 born per liter, but the sows can't really look after more than they have the number of teats, which is 14, then we have to make reserve mothers, spare mothers, and that is done by you take the pigs away that's big enough to get weaned. you have a sow with nice looking pigs because they get a lot of milk, and you remove them and you add some younger pigs, and then you take from a sow that is about a week old, you move them to that sow, and then you take the newborn or nearly newborn and move to the sow with a week old pigs. It's a lot of work, and you have to be good at doing it, because else you can make more trouble than good. And then all this job, we used to have 20 spare mothers at any one time in the farrowing house when we fed GM soy, 15 to 20 of them. And it was a lot of work to make these sows, and it was not always totally successful. But now, when we fed non-GM, we were on a maximum of 5 of these out of 104 pens. That means that you could keep the sows in the farrowing house for some days longer and still have room in the farrowing house, and you could also save yourself a lot of trouble. So we have less medicine usage. The next graph will be about medicine, and you can see how dramatically it's gone down. We had less abortions and more piglets born per litter. There will also be a graph on that, and it's abortions. We can tell it's an abortion compared to when it's just a sow that returns to heat. If it's a sow that has been inseminated but not cotton on, well, then it will return again 3 weeks later, 21 days, and pretty much on the clock. And so we said, okay, every sow that returns from 18 to about 24 days, they are in cycle. That means that's not an abortion we're counting here. That is just that the sow did not get inseminated properly, or something went wrong, didn't catch. And if the sow comes back 30 days after it's been inseminated, or 35, well, then it's out of sync. And that can only really happen if you have been pregnant as a sow, and then the sow noticed that not enough pigs have been successful to survive because they have to attach to the fallopian tube when they are about 20 days of age, the eggs. And if not enough attaches, and the small piglets will actually send out hormones that will keep the pregnancy going. If there's not enough hormones sent out to the sow, then she will cut the pregnancy and abort, and she will start a new cycle. That's how she can have a date that is outside the 21 days, or 42 if it's two times she jumped over. Then we also seen that there was no bloat or ulcers in the sows when we fed non-GM soy. The worst year on GM soy, we had about 30 sows that died due to ulcers and bloat. And it's stomach-related issues, sicknesses. The ulcer is very clear. You come in the morning, the sow has coughed all the blood up and is dead. And it's typically happening when just after farrowing, in the farrowing house. That's when the sow is needing to work the hardest, and then it is always when it works the hardest that you get the most problems. And bloat is the same. It's a bacterium that, if there is a hole in the stomach, like an ulcer, then your gut bacteria that can work okay in the gut, but they're not really supposed to go in the bloodstream. And if they go in the bloodstream, they will eat the energy in the sugars and whatever in the blood, and they will create gases that will totally puff up the pig in a very short time, and they will die within, I don't know, it looks like it's only 10 minutes, and they're gone. And these sicknesses we did not see when feeding non-GM soy. And there is a story about the ulcers, and because the Knowledge Center for Pigs in Denmark, they were alerted that I have seen these problems, and after I've had a meeting with them, together with Professor Don Huber, he was on a telephone line telling about GMO dangers, and we had a 2-hour meeting, and after Don was finished, the meeting was then we were continuing with my experiences, and then the Knowledge Center had already made a plan that they would do a GMO versus non-GMO study on pigs to see if what I was telling was correct. That study I'll be speaking about in the next episode. Sows they live longer when they're fed non-GM soya in good production. We have all sorts of statistics in the computer when we have pigs, because we note all the inseminating, farrowings, and anything data, medicine use, any data is reported into the computer program, so we can drag out reports. And we know that when we fed GM soy to the pigs, we had, if you get over 6 layers, the pigs' production start to drop, and that means that not all the pigs, the sows got slaughtered after 6 layers. Some was just super sows; they could have 8 or more farrowings before they dropped. I've always looked at an individual sow and say, okay, you made it well this far, and you're still making it well, so you get another chance. And after we changed to non-GMO soy, it shifted. Where it started to go downhill was not from 6 layers, now it was from after 8 layers. So that meant that the sows was having, in average, 2 more layers of pigs before they went downhill with production. And that's also a financial gain, because if you don't buy in so many gills, you don't have the same expenses. The sows are cheaper to keep for another layer. So the very biggest thing that if the herdsman should do his speaking, and I believe he should have a chance here, is that the yellow diarrhea in the farrowing house from just about 1 day to 5 days or 3 days of age, and that we did not at all see when we were on non-GMO soil. We can now compare it to the levels of glyphosate in the food, and please note that we are measuring glyphosate. That's why I talk about glyphosate with how much chemical is in the food, because it was glyphosate study, if you like, but it's really not glyphosate. It is Roundup residues we are measuring. And that's very essential when you are comparing to studies like Serralini's rat study, where he fed rats Roundup alone or glyphosate-based herbicide, glyphosate alone or glyphosate-based herbicides as a Roundup. The Roundup works really much worse health-wise for the animals, because it amplifies the ability to get into the cells where it makes the damage, and it also the so-called inert ingredients that is in Roundup are not strictly inert. They are actually toxic in their own right. So let's see. When we changed to non-GMO soya in the sow barn and farrowing house, then our medicine use dropped immediately. You can see on this graph, this is sows and piglets, the medicine is allocated for sows or for small pigs after weaning. So this is before weaning. And you can see that by April 2011, we changed 1st of April. And you can see the 1, 2, 3, 6 columns on the left. That's the medicine that we used normally, as norm. And the blue dots are the national average in Denmark. We were above the national average, but not above so high that we will get a yellow card or even a red card in medicine. But we were bordering on. We have to think about what we could do to get our medicine use down. That was when we fed GM soy. The yellow dotted line is a 12 months average, so it goes back and count the last 12 columns and give an average of them. And in April, the veterinarian were not in the pig house. He came about 1st of May, because you can see on this column here that we have here, if you like, that we have not had medicine purchased that month. The veterinarians in Denmark have to see the pigs every 5 weeks, and so there's a month where he has not been. And then you should think that when you have had one full month without any purchase, we should buy more the next month. But that is not how it worked, because literally we didn't actually use any medicine. Just after 2 days after we had changed, the medicine use dropped to nothing in the farrowing house. We were just on, when we castrated the pigs, just to preempt any infections in the wounds, we gave the boars half a milliliter of antibiotic, and that was, veterinarians said we had to do that, and so we that was basically what our total medicine use was. Then there was, after 4 months, we get 1 peak. That's because we buy 1 sec of antibiotic that we should. It's a sec that we used for the gilts, and it came in and disturbed the picture. But I think that sec was getting old before we ever got it used. So very good benefits straight from start. And I think our medicine use ended on something like close to a third of the national average, definitely under half. And we are talking in Denmark a lot about antibiotic resistance and medicine use. So think about it. If we all went to use non-GMO soya, how big a difference that could do on the creation of antibiotic resistant bugs. Changeover in the wiener barn. When we changed the food in the wiener barn, it had been fed to the pigs for 1.5 days. I always go and check the pigs of an evening before I go to bed, and we have what I normally saw in the pig house. I come in, I just check that there was not any water leaking, and heat and temperature was all right, and the pigs were sleeping okay. But this time I came down, and as soon as I turned the lights on, the pigs was up, and when I opened the door to the individual, we have 10 flocks, then you could hear them say, "Oof, oof, oof," and they run around in the pens, and I never had that sort of action in the wiener barn on my nightly rounds there, and I simply took it that there were definitely up in a gear. They were more happy or healthier, and what we saw in the coming days was that what we thought was normal is a floor like you can see the slats there. It has some half-dry manure that can lay in like a round sausage, sit on top of the slats until they step on it, and you have some that is loose like this. This is, I thought, was the norm in the pig barn. But when we started to feed non-GM, this type of diarrhea, I would call it, disappeared. We have dry slats. I mean, you could take your clogs off and just step in the socks, and you'll find out it's not even dirty when you get out the pen, because pigs are very tidy animal and they will shit in the corners. But if it's diarrhea like this, they will step it all over and it will all get messy. That's not the case on non-GM. And we also we had severe problems 2 months prior to that. We were changing in the Wiener barn, and that was this diarrhea and worse diarrhea and lots of medicine use, and we were having a mortality rate instead of our normal about 3%. I think we had the worst section, if you like. We had 25% mortality, and that is not at all nice when you come down and have to look after your pigs like that. And you had veterinarian in every week or every fortnight instead of every 5 weeks to take animals and send them to get analyzed to see is there anything special bacteria, because we tried with different types of medicine and lots of it, as you can see in a minute, but we had no success at all. The pigs just kept dying. And finally we decided, okay, now we're going to take 3, I think, live animals that had got started to see the symptoms, because we saw these symptoms and within 1 to 2 days they were dead. And we saw symptoms that like brain infection, but it was not brain infection. And we sent them off and we got results back. We had edema. And edema is a coli, has number 39 or 41, I don't know exactly anymore. But it was it's a coli bacteria that had caused it. And edema is a swelling between the skull and the brain of liquids, and they simply push the brain, so you get immense headache and you end up dying of it. The number, I don't really recall that we have saved any pigs that if they lay quiet and you can see the eyes just rolling in their head of pain, if they lay like that, you have absolutely no chance to save it. And what do you call it? That went away as soon as we changed the food. Immediately when we started feeding, the next day, no more got this sickness. So edema, the coli bacteria that will cause edema, all coli bacteria has a much stronger resistance to, as they can take a higher dose of glyphosate in the residues in the food before they will die. So all your bifidobacter and lactobacillus, all those that keeps stomach healthy, they're long gone if you have 2 parts per million, like we had in this ready food. And so that means that those that can take and survive 2 parts per million of glyphosate, which is a very strong and selective antibiotic, it will kill the good guys and leave the coli and Clostridium difficile and other really bad ones, MRSA and things like that, will be kept alive. We saw this. It can all be explained by the high level of glyphosate that we tested in this food, because when you take the good guys away, the bad guys thrive. And if you get more of these coli that can make edema, you have a problem. And that's what we saw in the wiener barn. Medicine use in wieners. I think you can see from this graph that there's a dramatic change in about February 2012. You have 4 large columns, and then there were months without. Well, it's to do with that the veterinarian has in Denmark got to see your pigs at a minimum with 5 weeks interval. So there is a month that he has not been there, and it's not the veterinarian who sells the medicine in Denmark. He just has to give a receipt then that you then can send to the chemist, and you get the medicine delivered. There must be no connection between veterinarian and the chemist shop. But in February 2012, we changed to non-GMO soy in the wieners. We saw an immediate better health. As I remembered, the first or the second evening after I have changed to non-GMO soy, I did my normal evening round, and I check on all the pigs at nearly midnight, and I go in the wiener barn. And I normally go in to see if there is something I need to change with medicine, or if somebody has been hard with some pigs that I need to take out and what have you. But this time was totally different. You could smell there was this I now know to be like a sort of diarrhea smell in the pig house. The smell was different in the pig house, and also the pigs, they were up and full of energy. And you know, when you open the door and you look around, just that you move a little bit and say woof, woof, and they very quickly turn around, but they have their ears up, totally alert, and you could tell they were happy in some way. And I remember I never seen anything like that sort of motion, and it was not just in one. We have 10 houses in the weaning unit, and it was not just in one room. It was all over. It was the same. So definitely change in the pig's behavior, and also I could see that after in the first months we noticed that the transformation of the manure that they came with, it was not so loose anymore. Now it's more solid, and we could see a lot of health issues, problems that was much easier to cope with. This graph here shows the dotted line is a national average. The yellow line is my herd's average, and because we had just had a 2-month period before that has had lots of Roundup, we found out in the soya, and we have had immense problems with animal health, and we have given a lot of medicine. You can tell by the graphs that we have been in trouble, because we've been way over national with medicine use for the pigs. Then in February, after the 4 large columns, we changed, and there is one. The first one is nearly up to the dots, because we simply ordered what was history that we could manage with, and but we had a feeling that it was going way better, because I actually had medicine left in the cupboard and everything. And then the next month went down to half of that, and then there come one big block again, and that was due to that I bought some medicine. I think that was 1 sack of medicine that we didn't use for the weaners, but we use for to treat gilts when we buy them in. It was a standard treatment we gave them, and that we also cut away after the first. We had this sack stood until it got too old nearly. So we were now gone to under half of the national average in medicine use by just changing from GM soy to non-GMO soy. And this has an impact on your economy because medicine is not cheap, but at the same time, you have a higher production. So it's all win-win. My veterinarian, Christian Havn, has given evidence to Aarhus University so that they could answer the minister on a question. And the minister has been in a TV program where my pitch was featuring. It was a documentary program about GMO and health issues in mammals. It was telling about my pig observations, and then they have been to ask a lot of consumers, and they would like to hear why is our minister not doing something about this. But the minister, she got asked by the journalist several times whether she would take action and state that we should use non-GM soy, or why can't consumers demand that the pigs are fed non-GMO soy. But the short end of it was that the minister promised the journalist that she would look into it and make Aarhus University make a memorandum, look at all the available scientific data, ask my veterinarian what's up and down of the health issues in my pig house, etc. So as my veterinarian got asked, he actually gave a very strong evidence stating that the main reasons, the main difference he has seen is the animal health issues that we saw diminish in the farrowing house, and he explained that about year 2000, 2005, we got a new sickness in the farrowing houses all over Denmark. It was we started off calling it the yellow death because the piglets, they got yellow diarrhea from day 1 to 3, and they tend to die of it. A high mortality of this sickness, and also this sickness did the diarrhea did not respond well to antibiotic. So even if you try different types of antibiotic, you could be out of luck. And then he also states that he has got a large veterinarian company. It has got farms in Iceland, in Portugal, and no, it's certainly Spain, and in Russia, in Poland, and Denmark, of course. And he's very respected veterinarian. And what he could see in all of his herds and compare that to what I have seen in my pig house was that this yellow death that then was called new neonatal porcine diarrhea, it was prevalent in pig farms that fed soy, but mainly in the ones that fed GMO soya. So if you feed non-GM soya or anything else, just non-GM to your pigs, you're not likely to have this sickness. And especially as he could say that his farms in Russia did not have it. And that was due to that Russia don't grow GM soy and they use Russian soy for their pigs. So that was the big part of the story, that he's seen it in other herds, and actually he has seen it in 2 of his own herds in Denmark, as one of the herds was a farm where, well, the farmer, he actually called me to get advice on how to get out of his problems with cows getting chronic botulism, because his veterinarian was quite alert, and she had been doing some studies together with the professor in Germany that I chose for my pig studies, Monica Krüger, And Monica Krüger is a specialist in botulism. And she has been to Denmark and looked at botulism in 3 dairy herds, cows. And she found that it's glyphosate, the Roundup residues in the feed that creates the sickness. And then the farmer, he called me because he got told that I worked with the same professor and I knew what was up and down on this. And I told him to get out of GMO soya, and immediately his herd changed, the health in his herd changed. And the veterinarian on that farm, because he had a cow house and he also had a lot of pigs in a similar type production of mine, apart from the farrowings happened outside in huts. And the veterinarian was Christian Havn. So when I found out that there was a veterinarian that was super interested in this changeover, as the other farmer had just changed over, I invited him to become my new veterinarian. And then after the TV program, where the minister got asked to look into what is the ups and downs on what I've seen, then he's another customer of this veterinarian. He saw that program and he said, "Shit, we have the same issues as Ip is talking about. So I will just go to my pigs and order non-GMO soya next time and not tell my herdsman and see if we see the same thing." And he did. Exactly after 2 days, the herdsman was totally happy. He thought he's just finally nailed it. He got rid of all these diarrhea problems in the farrowing house, and everything was turning the right way, and pigs was healthy and everything. And the veterinarian told us a good story, because he went down to see this farmer after he'd done the changeover. The veterinarian didn't know that they changed to non-GM soy, and he wasn't told either. So he went in and inspected the pigs with the herdsman, and the herdsman was really chuffed and really proud of his work. And the veterinarian wrote a brilliant report saying, "You just hit all the marks. Everything was right." And when the veterinarian, he came out of the pig house, the old man, the dad to the farmer, he come and say, "Why, have they told you what they've done to the food in the feed for the pigs?" "No." But you see, they saw your other client on television, and we decided we wanted to try the same thing. And this is what you had just seen in the pig house. So that's not so bad. Martin Tang Sørensen is a scientist at Aarhus University that got the job from the minister that he should look into what happened in my pig house and find out in scientific data what's up and down on this pig health issue. And after having asked the veterinarian, and he's looked in a lot of scientific data, then he came up with that glyphosate as Roundup residues in food can affect the microbial populations, microbiota in animal guts, with secondary effects on animal production and health. And glyphosate in the food can affect animal mineral status, with secondary effects on animal production and health. This was really big, and he even said it on Danish television. So me, my veterinarian, and a biologist friend I have called Klaus Sall, decided that we would try and see if there could be got some money so that the university could get started with looking into this issue. And as it was, we actually managed to contact Velux Windows, the foundation, and they produce windows and has made a good profit from that. and they have a very green agenda. And also, one of the owners, he is used to be my neighbor, and so they decided that they would spend 10 million Danish kroner on a study made by Aarhus University. That I'm going to talk about in one of the future sessions, because this is a story over several parts. I can't tell what number is on yet, but I will tell about it. Change our economy. Sows weaning at 7 kilo. We had 1.8 pigs more weaned per sow per year when we fed non-GM soy. $25,000. Medicine use saved $4,400. Higher value for non-GMO soya, $1,600. This higher value is because non-GMO soya is much better food. It's packed with more protein and more minerals than GMO soya is. And it simply has, that's a feed value, the $1,600 in the amount of soya we use in 1 year. Non-GMO soya comes with an extra cost. At that time, it was $6,500 for the year, the amount we fed to these pigs. In total profit, $24,500 extra profit per sow, and this is only looking in the sow barn, not the weaner barn. It was $36 per sow per year. So it's the best thing we have done with the pigs. As another thing to tell about why I'm really happy to see the non-GMO soy gives these results is that when I'm 61 years old, and when I was looking after other people's pigs in the 1980s, I was, and up to 95 actually, I was known to be a very good herdsman. And I can remember one time we had the highest efficient in all of Northern Jutland, and in the herd where I was, and we just didn't have any big problems with diarrhea in the farrowing barn or in the weaner's barn. Everything just went easy. And that's not just on one farm I've seen this, it's on 3 farms I've seen that we just didn't have these severe issues. But then when I started building my pig house, I built pig houses for a year after we bought the farm. And in 1998, we started having the first pigs arrive. And at that time, things had changed, because in 1996, GM soy came. And by 1998, almost all the soya, 95%, was GM soya, what we bought. And I could not work out that it just didn't seem to work for me. Why now I built this brand new pig house, and things was really tough. It was like I lost my touch. I used to have 95% of sows pregnant when I inseminate, and here we started on 60. And we got better. I got up on 95 again when we went to non-GM, funnily enough, again. In the meantime, we've been fighting to get our over 85% pregnant. And all this, I can now look back and then say, okay, GM soy has ruined my pig house in productivity for many years, until I found out that we had to transfer back to non-GM soya. And I have managed to get other farmers to change to non-GM soy. One farmer, he called me because he's vegetarian, said you should call it. He knows something about what GM soy causes, and try and listen to him. It was actually a cow farmer. Well, he had a pig house exactly like mine. He had stolen my drawings because mine was unique, and and he had farrowing in the open. He went from 27 pigs per sow per year to 34, just changing to non-GMO soy. And another man, he had 600 sows. He sold breeding animals for other farmers, and he transferred like I did, and he saw exactly the same, that he didn't tell the herdsman, because he's seen on television that I told about that. I didn't tell the herdsman when we changed to non-GM soy, and everything simply just got way better. And he saw that, yes, I finally hit it. I'm good. I've really done it well. And his herdsman, vegetarian, we had the same vegetarian, and but my vegetarian, he came back and he told me that this herdsman, he was totally chuffed, and he was showing him around the pig house, and everything was great. And then when the vegetarian come out of the pig house, the dad to the farmer, he comes along. Why, have they told you what they did with the food? And the vegetarian said, what? But have they changed the food or something? Yeah. You've been on television with this other guy, and we did just like him. We changed the GMO soy to non-GMO soy, and we've seen the same things. And it sort of warms me. It's really that's good. And I have found other farmers when they have been in the farming press with problems with the herd, and I can see, hey, this is exactly the same problems as I had when I fed GMO soy, and I have talked to them, and some of them changed and some of them don't. That's how it is. In the next part, I'm going to tell about GMO glyphosate and mammal health part 3. It's related glyphosate studies from Denmark that show the same detrimental effects on animal health as seen in my pig study. Follow me and learn these studies that has not met the scientific public literature, but they are a part of a lot of studies in Denmark that the research station, eller the Statens Husdyrbrugsforsøg, they have made to document effects on animal health regarding any sort of issues. It can be how the pig houses are, etc. And it's also in this case about glyphosate, if it's used in the feed or not. Follow me in the next episode.